Hi everyone, today we're looking at functionalist theory and the family. So firstly, we're going to identify what the functions of the family are according to functionalists, explain those functions and evaluate the usefulness of the functionalist approach. In later lessons, we'll look at Marxism and feminism too. So to start with, please pause this video and do the starter activity, which is to think back to what you already know about functionalism. Write down any key concepts you can remember, key studies such as sociologists, and what you generally think they might say about the family. So firstly, functionalists favour the nuclear family. So the nuclear family is the mother, father who are married with their biological children. It's that stereotypical family. Sometimes it's called the serial packet family. So they believe this family is the best type for fulfilling specific functions that are needed for the whole of society to function effectively. They're very positive about their view on the family, and they dislike most other family types that don't conform to that nuclear family ideal. So single parent families in particular, they would say, are not able to fulfill the specific functions of the family. The family allocates specific gender roles, so the male having the instrumental role and the female taking the expressive role. So the instrumental role is that breadwinning roles are going out to work, and the expressive role is staying at home, being a homemaker, looking after the children. Functionalists prefer marriage to cohabitation because they believe that marriage is more stable, so the family unit will stay together for longer and provide stability for the children. Functionalists usually ask questions like, what good does it do for society, or how does it contribute to a healthy society? So they kind of think that the nuclear family does the best for society overall and contributes to a healthy society. So you may or may not disagree with these points. This is the functionalist perspective, but hopefully, whether you agree or not, you can hopefully start to see some of the downsides or criticisms of this approach. So I'm going to go through now what the functions are according to Murdoch, who is our first sociologist. So as I'm going through that, can you complete the table? So I've put the functions on the left-hand side. You need to describe what those functions are and then suggest reasons why these functions may be seen as unrealistic or outdated. There's an extension task there. You might want to make a mnemonic to help you remember Murdoch's 4 functions of the family. So I've given you an example there, but you might want to make it so that it's more relevant to you and to your personal life so that you can remember it more easily. So Murdoch said that the family is important and it performs 4 key functions for society. The sexual function, which is simply married adults enjoying a healthy sex life, which prevents them from having affairs. And they think that this is good because it means that there is stability in the family. There's not lots of change. And that means that children are raised by their biological parents and that is for them the best situation. The second function is reproduction. So the nuclear family reproduces the next generation in order for society to continue and survive. The third function is the economic function. So this is where the family is providing food and shelter for family members. So because there is 2 adult members of the family, it makes this function easy to fulfill because the man has that specific economic function of going out to work, also known as the breadwinning function, and the woman will stay at home to look after the house and the children. If there's other family types, they may not be able to do this role adequately. So in their view, single parents might struggle to do the economic function because there is only 1 adult, and therefore it's a less ideal family type. And then finally, the education function. So what Murdoch means by education isn't, lessons as such. What he means is socialization. So we already know what primary socialization is from the education unit. But essentially, just as a reminder, it's the process of learning those norms and values. So children will learn socially acceptable behaviour from their parents, and this helps them to blend into wider society. It helps to create a value consensus whereby all of society shares those same norms and values, and that therefore creates stability. Parsons is another functionalist sociologist who comments on the family, and he argues that the family has 2 key functions. So he agrees with Murdoch that it does that education function of primary socialization. Again, it's the same, learning those norms and values. He secondly says that we learn the stabilization of adult personalities through the family as well. So we're going to look at that on the next slide. So just a recap of norm. So a norm is what is considered normal and acceptable behaviour in society, and value are the things that we deem are important as a society. So the sort of norms we might learn in the family might be normal behaviour such as saying please and thank you, using cutlery, etc. Values might be things like how society deems education to be of high importance and value. So stabilisation of adult personalities has another name, which is the warm bath theory. So think about how the family is like a warm bath. So imagine a bath when you get in, usually, you might get in because you're stressed. The bath kind of alleviates that stress and takes away the problems that perhaps somebody's been having. It's supposed to be seen as a relaxing thing to do. And Parsons is saying that the family kind of acts like a warm bath. The family takes away the stresses of the world from family members. So families help to do this. They help to stabilise our personalities, one through marital partners giving each other emotional support, but also as parents they're able to indulge in their childish side with their children and provide them with support. So family life provides adults with a release from the strains and stresses of everyday life, and the family provides emotional support and security. So this helps to stabilise their personality and in turn wider society. So do families always offer support and security? So hopefully you've already thought about maybe a criticism of this approach. Is everybody's family like a warm bath? I'm sure we've all had times where family does not, or family life feels perhaps chaotic or less than ideal. So we can already start to think about some of those criticisms of the functionalist perspective. Next, a task that I would like you to do, please. If you turn to page 190 in the textbook, it has some information about Parsons and pre-industrial society versus industrial society and what family life was like. So how does he describe pre-industrial society? So what was pre-industrial society like? What was family life like during that time? And then industrial society, it explains two essential needs that industrial society has. One, a geographically mobile workforce, and two, a socially mobile workforce. So just read about those two needs and explain why industrial society has these essential needs. And then lastly, look at the criticisms box, the evidence against Parsons, and answer these three questions, because other sociologists have criticised what he has to say. Young and Wilmot and Peter Laslett are mentioned in that box, so you want to refer to those sociologists when you're answering those questions. I've left space on the next couple of slides so that you can write your answers directly on the PowerPoint, and then you can upload your work to show my homework. Lastly then, the evaluation. So these are our criticisms. Feminists criticise ideas that functionists have about gender roles. So they would say that, that the idea of having segregated roles, the man doing the instrumental role and the woman doing the expressive role, are very outdated, and also not necessarily what feminists would promote. They suggest that the family benefits men more than it does women, because functionalists believe that women should be limited in what they can and can't do, so they should be staying at home. Parsons has also been criticised as being sexist, as he sees the woman wife as having the main responsibility for providing warmth and emotional support. And obviously this is not always the case. Men also have that role in modern family life, and women also have the role of being a breadwinner in modern family life. Parsons' research was based on white American families, so perhaps it's not representative of wider society in the UK. He also ignored the fact that children from single parent families can be successfully socialised as well. So this functionalist perspective that the nuclear family is ideal because it can perform those four functions best, arguably is again outdated, and there are lots of other family types such as extended families, gay and lesbian families that can also perform those functions adequately. Functionalist theories do not always reflect family life, so married people living in harmony, being effective socialisers, etc. Arguably, married life is not always like that for everybody, and as we mentioned before, family life can be chaotic for some. And functionalism is overly optimistic and too positive. It ignores dysfunctions of the family. So for example, the darker side of family life, like domestic violence and conflict, it doesn't take into consideration that, yeah, again, family life is not always ideal for everyone. So if you could please complete the tasks that were on the previous slides, and make sure that you've got your notes written down in your folders. So just write your notes on paper. Don't just save this presentation to your laptop or your iPad, because if you don't have the notes in your folder, it's going to be difficult when you come to revise later on. So make sure it's all in one place, please. If there are any questions, there is a drop-in session on Wednesday at 2:10. So you can log in on Microsoft Teams and I will be there to answer questions about this work. Take care, everyone. Thanks. Bye.